Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chris and Andre Show.
Welcome to the Chris and Andre Show. We're glad you joined us. I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
We appreciate you joining us today. And we talk about everything from cooking to pop culture for free because we don't get paid for it. It's just something we do out of the kindness of our hearts.
I was going to say it's not even really free because it costs us money. Like we're operating at a loss here just for you people.
Yeah.
This is not for our own benefit. Unlike what we've stated multiple times before on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, push the limits, right? Everybody's got a hobby. You know, some people pull apart cars and spend an ungodly amount of money. We're spending like some chump change and get to talk to each other every week. And
are you saying that I could have invested all of this money into a fancy car? That was an option. Nobody told me.
Well, if we spent that much money, then we're really in trouble, dude. Like we're really in trouble.
Oh
man,
no, that's fair. That's fair. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet.
Yeah, we're still in like pocket change right now. So, today we're gonna have a guest join us later on in the show, and really looking forward to that. That's going to be kind of cool. It'll give us like what, 2 guests overall?
Yes, I think my dad, right?
Yeah,
is the only one that we've had join us so far.
Okay.
But for those of you paying attention at home, we have moved to a new recording platform. So historically, we've been using Zoom. And then recording the audio directly locally on Audacity. But through some research, we decided to move to a new platform called Riverside.fm. Apparently it's what all the big boys use. And since we ourselves are big boys, we figured that's where we belong. So, we've had our share of troubleshooting woes early on. You might notice that while I look amazing, Andre's video, for whatever reason, just doesn't really want to cooperate and looks awful pixelated. But we'll keep kind of tinkering with that and seeing what we can do to fix it. The nice thing is it does provide us with the opportunity to bring in guests remotely. And so we're hoping that this is something we can continue to do moving forward. That being said, if you have any interest in being a guest on the Chris and Andre Show, Kristen.
Who's Kristen?
It's worse than Andres.
I know,
Kristen
right?
Andre.
That was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, that really was. Gosh, so glad that I don't have to interact with that person anymore. No, you know what's funny was that I was going through, I'm just going to completely go off onto a tangent here because that's what we do on the Chris and Andre Show. I was going through Facebook this morning because it had said, you need to invite 10 friends to your page. And I'm like, I know I already did, even though we only have like 8 likes. So
right.
The 2 of you who didn't like it when I sent you an invite, I know who you are. But no, so like I was going through my list and that person showed up.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, but I'm not friends with them. Like, so I don't really get that. But I think it was like a suggested friend sort of thing. But yeah.
Oh, their algorithm is so sloppy.
I mean, it is, and their advertising algorithm is great.
Oh yeah, because they have so much data on people.
It wasn't like 5 minutes after we were looking at Riverside.fm and talking about it that I started getting targeted ads on Instagram for it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I visited the site. Like, I get it,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely upset with that. So Riverside FM, we are glad to, test drive your platform.
Yeah, you guys should really consider becoming a sponsor of the Chris and Andre Show.
Because we're going to mention you like 50 times, good and bad. So,
yeah, if you want us to cut out all the bad stuff, you better pony up.
So, there's a lot of good press. We're just having a small technical issue. I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point.
My line got stuck in my
I'm sorry. So, I'm going to tell you something. You're probably going to be upset. I already ate dinner. I made a vegan stir fry.
Oh, what was in it?
Vegetables, water chestnuts.
That's a vegan stir fry that had vegetables?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news.
I know. I had nothing. I didn't put any. It was a simple one. It took like probably total 20, 30 minutes altogether. But I skipped breakfast and lunch today, so I was kind of hungry.
I
figured.
Sorry, go ahead.
I figured I'd cook for my wife. So.
Well, that was nice. I'm sure she appreciates that.
I hope so.
We had leftover vegan stir fry for lunch today. That Christy
Great
had
minds,
made.
right?
Yeah, I know. It was really good. It was like onions and chickpeas and bok choy.
Okay.
And there was some other spinach. I know there's some spinach in there. It was just really good. I don't know, because it wasn't the baby bok choy, it was the full size one, and so she just cut it up into. It was very, very tasty. Throw some avocado on top. We've been making some really good food lately. She had signed up for a couple of the meal services, so I think like the is it Green Chef we did 1 week, and they only have like 4 meals that are vegan on their list, and so those were the 4 that we got. 3 of the 4 were really good. We didn't particularly care for the last one. The last one that we ended up eating. And then we did Purple Carrot the following week. And I think we only got 3 meals with that one. And all 3 of those were really good. There was a Cajun tofu with collard greens, I think, or something like that. That was, I know it sounds kind of, but it was surprisingly tasty. Yeah, I really liked it.
Well, I do kind of miss my soul food kick, and I was reading an article earlier this week about a lady that she was on season 11 of Shark Tank, and she had a vegan fried chicken. She turned it like I think it was she turned it was $1 million, right?
Yeah,
and it was for 10% of the company, so she turned it down. And Mark Cuban is really into the plant-based industry, so if you have that type of company, he's more than likely going to invest. She walked away, and now she's like getting a lot of good press. And I'll tell you what, man, if she makes it happen and starts like getting her distribution, I'm trying to help her out, yo. I'm trying. Like soul food is like something that I haven't really mastered in my plant-based cooking, but yo, man, that's all I can say. Like, the thing I was thinking about the most when I read that article is that there's been some additional articles that were talking about how there's a big movement in the Black community to go vegan and plant-based. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so great because of heart disease, diabetes. Those are things that are unfortunately common in our community. So I'm all for people eating healthy. And I love soul food, so... Yeah.
We our dinner plans for this weekend, for those of you that aren't me and Andre or our significant others, we are all going out to dinner this weekend, and so the place that we're going, I believe, is a vegan soul food.
That's why
spot.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know, me too. I'm very excited. That one's been on our list for a while, so I'm really stoked to try that. There was another restaurant that we tried recently. We got delivery from Earth to Us. There's one that's in like Durham, but it's kind of like that Cary, Durham, area. And then there's another one that's in Raleigh off of Buck Jones Road. And that was really good. I got their empanadas. They had like veggie empanadas. It was like a different type of empanada shell. Normally it's like the kind of buttery pastry sort of thing. This one was like, it was like a corn pastry, and it was fried, but it was like almost like a corn dog or like a potato. I don't know. I can't even really. It was so good though, and it came with this bang bang. They're like vegan bang bang sauce and some black beans. The black beans were okay, but like the bang bang sauce with the empanadas, like whew, that stuff was on point.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I hope, and I'm pretty sure it'll happen soon, that this area will get more and more like diverse restaurants, as opposed to everything's a fast casual or a mom and pop burger. I think
It seems like it's starting to diversify a little bit in that regard, because it was that way for a while, where it was like everything was some like chain or like it was a high end attempt at something that would be there for a little while, and then the chef would leave and the place would inevitably go downhill.
And that's what's so terrible about Midtown and like North Raleigh. It's like, well, not North Raleigh anymore, but downtown. It's just like the worst ever. It's like everything is the worst experience, and it's like, why would you build a $10 million restaurant for barely a population that can afford it of 200,000? Like, that's dumb, right?
Yeah.
So
you're betting big
that?
on the growth of Raleigh in the future, I guess. I got a new cookbook. I sent you this coconut ceviche recipe from it, but it's it's another Instagram advertising. They got me. They're really good. But it's called Foodgasm. And everything basically in this book looks absolutely amazing. I haven't made anything in there. We're supposed to do the fried rice recipe from that tonight, so I'm excited to try that, but I'll let you know if it's any good.
Please do. Did I ever tell you about the cookbook my daughter got me for Christmas?
No, which one was that?
Oh, it's like called the Beginner's Plant-Based Cooking or something like that. I'll send you the link.
Nice.
I'll send you a screenshot. But that has become my go-to cookbook. Every recipe is like 30, 45 minutes. Super simple prep time. And it's great for like Monday through Friday, right?
Yeah.
So I use my meal planning board that I have. It's like I was like able to figure out what I was going to buy as far as groceries.
Yeah.
Use my little meal planner and bada bing.
It's nice, right? I mean, we've been doing that for a while now, where, we just kind of sit down on Saturday and it's like, well, what do we want to eat this week? Okay, we'll usually go through and do all the dinners first and then kind of fill in lunches. And
right.
I've been on a diet lately as I've been trying to exercise and lose some weight, get in better shape. I'm on week 2, and so part of that is like, I am skipping breakfast. It's like that intermittent fasting thing, basically, where I'm not supposed to eat from 7 o'clock at night until like 11 in the morning or something, which is actually not that bad. Sometimes I can't help myself, and I'm like, I gotta go have a snack. But it's been.
I'm listening. It's just our guest is having
technical difficulties.
So I am listening.
No, you're good. But yeah, so I've been doing these shakes in the morning to like break my fast, because it's the liquid, intake is supposed to be a good way to break your fast, and so doing a lot of shakes with salads or.
So let me ask you a stupid question. Are you?
I love stupid questions.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Your exercise routine. What are you doing?
So I'm trying to keep it really simple, something that I can basically do wherever I am, and whatever, the weather or whatnot is. And so it's jumping jacks, crunches, push-ups, and leg lifts.
Okay.
And that's it. That's it.
Okay. And how many minutes are you doing that?
Probably takes me about 15 minutes.
Well, that's not bad.
No, and then
it should be 30 though.
It should be. I'm working on. I mean, because my body, the first day I did it last week on Monday, was not particularly happy with me. Like my knee, my right knee, just as I got to like number 30 on the jumping jacks, was like, yeah, no. But so I've been trying to like, take it easy and not.
You should do.
I shouldn't even say take it easy, but like I'm trying. I didn't want to do the thing that I've done in the past, where it's like, all right, today I'm gonna work out as hard as I can, and then for the rest of the week I feel like absolute garbage. And so it was like, okay, I'm gonna do, some simple things on Monday. I'm gonna see if I can do it again on Tuesday, if it's too easy, then I'll start to just slowly increase the number of reps and stuff that I'm doing until,
Right.
I'm reaching that point where it's like, okay, I'm feeling good. Like this is a good amount of resistance. Like I'm just kind of barely able to get, this number of push-ups or whatever it is in, and go from there and make sure I'm doing plenty of stretching and all of that. So it's the beginning. What I'd like to do is to be able to then, or possibly beforehand, incorporate like a run, like be able to go for a run and then come back and do my exercise routine or something like that.
So I'll share this with you. Like if you're having like your legs are not very strong, do calf raises.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to kind of give you a little bit of a foundation. I had to do that for, I think about 3 months because my right knee was just really not wanting to participate in life.
Yeah.
And just doing like probably 60 to 90, they're not really hard. And running, I always do running after I work out. I always do that the last thing for some reason. It just makes it a lot easier because, yeah. But
I feel like you're warmed up at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. I've never really had a workout routine.
Oh, well, that's a problem too.
I mean, it's just never been a high priority of mine.
Well, there are a lot of simple, and I personally, like during the days I don't go to the gym, I do calisthenics, right? So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning, I take Sunday off. I do like push-ups, pull-ups. I have a pull-up bar, obviously. I have some dumbbells, but I pretty much do like push-ups, sit-ups, ab wheel.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why do you get the dumbbells instead of the smart ones?
Because the smart ones talk to you. And I don't know. But anyway, so I would try to like figure out a way to get 30 minutes. 30 minutes gives your body a chance to say, okay, I need to do this more often.
Okay,
so,
doctor.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what works for me. I'm a little bit older than you are.
Okay,
so.
old guy, Andre.
See, this is how it goes down.
You're the one who said you were old.
Yeah.
You started it.
Well, now I don't want to talk about this anymore. But so I was reading. What was I reading? Oh, I was reading an article on Palmer Report, and I kind of get agitated by paywalls. I like how they fund their site in their own way, and they actually have a subtle but direct way of asking for $5, $25, and $75 on their site at the end of every article. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. I think I could support that. I didn't give them any money. But.
I mean, it's kind of like Wikipedia, right? Where it's like
Wikipedia is annoying.
I mean, I've literally never once donated to Wikipedia.
Yeah, like I would, but they're just so aggressive with when they ask for donations. It's like every time you go there.
Yeah, and it's usually like a big red bar across the top. Like,
it's so annoying. I just don't like it. So I've never donated to Wikipedia, but I rarely ever use it. So
yeah, it's like it's like that Santa Claus with the bell, the Salvation Army in front of the store. Like, stop ringing that damn bell at me, man. Maybe I give you some money, but you're just like ring, ring, ring. It's like shame, shame.
It's almost annoying, yeah. But I don't know if I've decided how I feel about paywalls. But they're there.
They are.
I mean,
I recently opted into the New York Times subscription because they had a deal where you could get like 6 months for $1 a month.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. There was enough stuff that I was clicking on and trying to read on the New York Times that it's like, all right, well, I'll do that and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But it just depends. Like there aren't that, like The Athletic is another site that I have considered paying for in the past, and I just have not found that piece. Like there was one article that somebody wrote, and it definitely had like an NC State bend to it because that's of course. But it was not enough to get me to pay in order to see that. So we'll see.
Well, hello, Mr. Jackson.
Hey,
How's
how
it
y'all
going?
doing? How y'all doing?
Doing well. Thanks for joining
Pretty
us.
good, pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. So
How you
everybody,
doing, Chris?
Doing good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
well, everybody, like we said earlier, we're now 1-1 with family members being guests in our podcast. Those are the only people that love us. Today we have Tony Jackson, the guy that is lucky to be married to my favorite sister. That's not going to go over very well. But she's also my only sister.
Oh, well,
But Tony's he's a good guy. He likes to give me crap during football season with his crappy picks on everything. But I'm a Broncos fan and proud of it, and he's a hater just to be a hater. So Tony, thanks for joining us. And that was not a very nice intro, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't consider myself a hater per se, but
yeah.
I know good teams when I see them.
Andre likes to throw
that is
that
the Panthers.
hater label out there a lot. I get labeled a hater all the time on this podcast, so don't feel like you're in bad company with regards to that.
Oh man.
Hate.
So if Andre's the Broncos fan and I am the Seahawks fan, which team do you most closely align yourself with, Tony?
Probably the Seahawks.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Even though
I can see the
we kind of
disappointment
got a
on
small
Andre's
rivalry.
Well, Tony, thanks for joining us.
But the thing is, though, you rubbed it in really well, though, when you guys beat us in the Super Bowl, and that it just kind of stuck with me. It stuck with me. I still love you, though.
Oh yeah, I love you. It has nothing. It's not a question of love. It's a question of. It's a question of. Well, okay, I'll let. Yeah, maybe I did because I do remember, and when the Broncos lost against said team, I heard it from everybody. I heard it from my daughter's sensei.
You didn't hear it from me.
I didn't. Thank God, because
I think I wore my Russell Wilson jersey in the next morning, but
just enough. I mean, so I was not I heard it from everybody, and it's just like, okay, cool. It was a bad game.
It was an awful game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great as a
was
Seahawks fan. Like that first snap over Peyton Manning's head, I was just like, oh, that's what, and it was like we scored the day, and I was like, and then Percy Harvin ran back the second half kickoff. I know Andre's just like, I'm making him relive these wonderful / horrible moments from this game. But
I'll say this. I'm glad Peyton Manning was able to leave on a high note from Denver because he would have ruined for me, he would have been just mud like forever and ever and ever. So, but yeah, Seahawks are wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Seahawks, it looks like they finally your boy is finally showing some love to NC State.
I know. I see he's going to be speaking at the 2021 commencement speech here coming up for NC State. So
that's good.
I mean, it's about time. I want to see if he pulls out the same story about him leaving the team with his discussion with Tom O'Brien that he did at the Wisconsin one, I think, or so, wherever he was before, and he got a bunch of crap from NC State fans. I can't imagine that that's going to come up again. But look, the truth is, there's probably like a 60-40 split, I think, amongst NC State fans on Russell. Like 60% of us are just like, that's our dude. We wish he would have been here the whole time, but we're glad we get to kind of cheer for him and we got to experience any part of him here. And then the other 40% is like, man, screw that dude. He has done nothing for NC State since he left. Like, he would rather be a Wisconsin Badger and all that. And I'm just, it's like, I get it. He's got to appeal to both fan bases. It's a whole pack of Badgers, right? That's
the thing. The pack of Badgers.
Oh man, stupid puns. It's about to be a long conversation. No, I mean I respect, like, seriously, as far as a quarterback goes, I like Russell Wilson. I don't have any. The only thing I'll say is the Denver Seahawks Super Bowl was an embarrassment. That was an embarrassment of football. So I have nothing against Russell Wilson. I think he's he may be in my top 20. And I haven't really decided my top 10, but he might even be in my top 10 because no, I don't think that's true. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'd have to
Wasn't
think about
he
it.
in your top 10?
I think he was.
I can't remember. I don't know if Tony heard, but we've done our top 10 quarterbacks like all time, and of course I had like 3 NC State guys in there. I had to squeeze them in.
Oh, you're right. We did do that.
NC State guys. NC State guys.
Oh yeah. I have
We talking about professional or?
Yeah, I have Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson, and then who was the other one that I was thinking of? Actually, no, I think it was just those 2. I think those were the only 2 that I had in my top 10.
No, you put Russell in probably twice.
Probably, yeah. Like I had him at number 1 and number 3.
So is Russell better than Phillip Rivers?
Yes.
Oh, I mean,
what are you waiting on?
He should have had 2 Super Bowls.
yeah. So that's what I was gonna ask Andre. Is like, I know you talked about how bad losing to the Seahawks was in that Super Bowl, but I really hated losing that next one on that stupid interception at the goal line. Like, which is worse? Like, knowing basically from the get-go that the game is out of reach, or thinking like, man, we're about to go win this, and Marshawn Lynch grabs his crotch as he dives across the, goal line, and instead, no,
we'll pass it.
Throw a pick.
So, I think that was a coach fail. Like, I don't blame.
Yeah,
Russell.
I agree.
I don't blame Russell Wilson for that.
No, I mean, I don't blame Russell either. I'm just saying, like, in terms of ways to lose a Super Bowl, would you rather, as a fan, have your team be out from the get-go or lose it at the last second?
Oh crap! I was like, I was trying to. I guess I was trying to avoid the question.
Yeah.
I'd rather neither, if I'm being honest.
Well,
I think both.
That's not the point of the question, Andre. If I was like, would you rather have ice cream or garbage? Like, yeah, of course you're gonna want ice cream. Like,
my point being is like, both are pretty crappy.
They
Like,
are. The question is, which is worse?
I think I'd rather get blown out.
I'd rather get blown out too. Like that last second.
Then lose
one,
a close game like that, though. Because that just breaks your heart all the way. Because you feeling like you got a chance, and then that right there happens. Oh man, that hurts.
Yeah,
that hurts
I'm with
bad.
Tony on
Because that
this
sticks
one.
with you.
I mean, like, they haven't been back to the Super Bowl since, right? Like,
but I hate losing, so I'm not gonna, like, I can't sit here and pretend like I would even pull the trigger on either one of those. Like, I can't. I would just be like, we didn't show up. That I don't know. I couldn't pick that. I'm sorry. That's too difficult. It's like asking me to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, I just can't. It's just not wise. Tony's, you're pretty competitive too. Like, the time I was playing my nephew, like, in Madden, and Tony just like gets so mad. He like disowned his son right there. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "What are you doing?" Oh, I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "Let him." I mean, he came in kind of hot though.
Because that's why. Because I knew what you were doing the whole time, and I wanted to tell him, but then I didn't want to make it look like I was, giving him everything. I want him to learn, but I was like, man, it hurts. It hurts to see my little man going out like this.
But to be fair, like, later on, like, Tony and one of my sons, they're like coaching from the couch. I'm like, you guys, it's not 4 against 1. Like, it's not 4 against 1. Like, there were 2 of my sons.
Even the odds. Come on.
It's 2 of my sons, my nephew, and Tony, all like. Well, my nephew doesn't really count because he was still playing terrible. So, but it was technically 4 against 1. And I was like, dude, I'm playing football. You're playing a video game, and that's what you have. Like, you have to understand that that's the only reason I'm good at Madden. That is the only reason. It's not because I'm a video game expert. It's because I understand.
It's because you're a football expert.
Well, I don't want to say that out loud. And
you don't have to. I just did. Now you can just agree with it.
Okay, yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, I know what I'm doing. So, but yeah, I thought that was one of the funniest days of my life. I'm like, your dad just disowned you.
I was like, no, come on. I know you do this. Come on now, don't do this. Don't fall for it. Oh.
So you're like seeing it coming. You're seeing everything happen before it actually happens, and there's nothing you can do. That's terrible.
Exactly. Nothing.
Yeah, if you come to my house and you're talking crap about Madden, you will lose. Like, it's just inevitable. It's gonna happen. But yeah. But that was a funny day. So
It was fun.
I know competition in sports is super important to me, and I think that I watch a lot of sports. Like my baseball season's being kind of jacked up. There's like 7 rescheduled games already because of COVID. So
aren't they playing shortened games, like 7-inning games and stuff now?
Yeah, I'm not like, and baseball was my out this season. Like I was gonna have something to escape in, and now it's getting screwed up. And then I'm like trying to get ready for soccer and trying to watch qualifiers, and I get this news that there's about to be a new Super League, and part of me is happy.
Excited.
I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard about that.
So what do you think about it?
I think that's pretty cool, honestly. I think that's really pretty cool because what I was hearing on the sports radio the other day, I was like, they was talking about they really don't want them to do that though, because then that would kind of take money out, the big league's pocket or whatever.
Right.
But why not do it though? You need competition, right? As we were just talking about, competition is always good. The only thing that makes it only thing it does is make you better.
The thing I think the European League is afraid of is that it makes them less competitive, and actually doesn't. There's nothing to be afraid of other than losing money, right? So
but even then, isn't part of the Super League was that they were going to be writing like $10 billion worth of checks back to the non-participating clubs, like. Part of it was essentially supposed to be then like all of the money that they were making from the Super League was then going to be redistributed to the lower clubs. But now they've had Chelsea and Man U are both saying that they don't want to do it anymore. They're like, we're out.
Well, it's the impending lawsuits, right? So the EU, for some reason, can get involved in that. I think it's a good thing for professional soccer, especially for on an international level. So I don't watch a lot of the clubs in like the European leagues because I don't really care. I'll watch Barcelona versus Real Madrid. I may watch Manchester play every now and then, Chelsea every now and then. I really care more about like the international games because I'm always thinking about the World Cup. I'm always thinking about the Olympics because that's the only time we shine on that as a country. We shine on that stage. But I do think that it's a good idea because FIFA is a dirty piece of crap, in my opinion. Like anything that can disrupt that organization, I'm okay with it.
There you go.
So, and I do think it probably makes competition like Man U they're a good club, but they're not the definitive club, right? So there's a lot of like pieces. I'm sure it's a complex deal, but I think it's not going to be bad for football. I really don't.
I mean, do you think like that college football might look at following a similar type of path?
Yeah.
And take, like some of the big football schools and just say, screw it, we're going to go play our own league over here.
I mean, if you look at the SEC, that's what you already have, right?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, kind of do. Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, I stand corrected. I'll just see myself out.
So, I think that having additional levels of competition in professional sports, even in college sports, is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. They already have like Division I, Division II, Division III, like.
Right. And I've seen Central, like, literally, like, is it Central or no? It's Central that's actually had a chance to go like to the NCAA a couple times. So you can graduate out of a division if you're good, if you can build a program. So I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be great for football. I mean, like, well, soccer, like translation,
Football.
football. So I think it'll be great for like to have those those graduated levels of skill in the sport. So
It does seem like in soccer that there's often like this mismatch of teams, where it's like you'll have these really, really good teams with all the talented players playing these teams that have like nobody. And it's not like they never win, but it just seems like there's like in the UEFA and all that stuff that there's usually a greater disparity in talent. And so I feel like to some degree that's part of what this is trying to solve as well, is saying like, let's put the best, soccer matches on that we can.
But I think it's more of a visibility thing, because if you look at Brazil's got a epic metric ton of teams, right? And most of their top tier players either play for local Brazilian teams or they play in Europe, right? Mm-hmm. Peru, the same thing. Peru's got they've got a good amount of football squads. My father-in-law used to play for one of the, I think they'd be like a D2 football squad, but a lot of their players actually play in Europe. So I think for the most part, it's a visibility thing for the players. Like Christian Pulisic, that's one of my that kid is amazing. He was amazing the first time I saw him step on the pitch. Like I'm like, there's no way he's like that good, but he's like really that good. I'm like, wow, that's just amazing. And he was like 17 when he like his first run in or I think it was like the World Cup, and it just blew my mind. And he's only done great things since. So yes, he's playing for Chelsea right now, but the thing is, like, if you can spread out the visibility, it makes the sport better, right? If you can disrupt FIFA in some levels, it makes the sport better. It makes it more accessible to, like, if you look at the Western hemispheres, and especially in like South America, Central America, the passion behind like football. It's amazing, right? It's starting to trickle in. Like football, all right, soccer. I get it. Like, all right, soccer got really popular here in the States back when we hosted the World Cup. It just got really amped up. I think if there was more visibility, and when you think about the MLS and how they're actually having more competitive contracts, it makes the sport that much more attractive. And I can kind of parallel that to lacrosse. Like, I never played lacrosse. Lacrosse wasn't in the hood. I mean, it just wasn't a thing. I had two sons play lacrosse, and my youngest son was just bananas at it. It was like, yo, like, that's like, if I would have known about this sport when I was younger, like, that looks like it's fun, right? You can like body check people, there's a lot of stuff.
That's a tough sport.
Yeah. My two oldest boys play rugby in high school. So there's a lot of sports that could be just as influential in our country as football and basketball. Like, those are the top sports in the country. Like baseball has dropped a couple tiers since the second to last strike. That's when they started like importing most of the players from like Cuba and like and everywhere else except for from the college teams.
Yeah.
So if you can make sport in general more accessible and give a lot of variety to the different types of athletes, it's not a bad thing, right? Because I don't think basketball is the be all that ends all. I would argue, I don't think football is the be all that ends, like American football is the be all that ends all. There's a lot of sports out there that we're just not really exposed to, and so I think as much as you can mix that up, the better you make, all athletes, and it gives people a chance to be the best person they can be in sport. So,
yeah,
that's a lot, but that's how I feel about it.
It seems like in the United States, like there's this pressure or expectation to have kids kind of like specialize in a specific sport at an early age, like identify the one that you think they're going to be best at and then just have them do that. I remember growing up, like I played baseball, basketball, soccer, like a little bit of everything in terms of what was out there.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I was like, all right, well, I'm not really into baseball anymore, so I'm not going to play that. And then I don't like running as much in soccer, so I'll become a referee. Basketball, I wasn't tall enough, so that one went out the window pretty early. But
Tony, what about you? Like, what's your sports story?
Shoot, man, my sports story. I wish I would have played football, but I played basketball when I was a kid. But I always had a strong love for basketball coming up, and still to this day. So I mean, like I said, I wish I would have played football, but I always when I was in high school, I used to always hear stories. Don't play football, man. No, don't play it. And I'm like, man, I don't want to get hurt, but I should have played. But I kind of wish I would have played soccer. Because my dad played soccer when he was a kid. Realizing as I got a little older, I said, man, I got some pretty quick feet. I probably could have played soccer, but I like to run, so that probably would have been good for me.
Yeah.
Probably could have ran track a little bit, but didn't do it.
Yeah,
I run forever when I was younger.
That's true. I think sports are like one of those. It's one of those things where like you just kind of got to figure out what your where you fit, I guess. I mean, but
yeah.
It's always like I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to look at it, because you can always find yourself in a sport that you didn't think was you, but you find out you're really good at it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at Russell Wilson.
Yeah. But he probably thought he was really good at baseball, though.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly thought that
he was at football, though.
That's where I thought he was going to end up, just because of his stature, ultimately. Like, I thought that was going to be the thing
like Michael Jordan.
But
so if Russell Wilson would have remained a state baseball player, he'd probably be going to jail like all the other state baseball players.
I see you through this.
Oh my goodness!
I didn't even know that this was like a thing. I hadn't heard anything about this, and I'm like reading through the show notes. A court date for NC State baseball players charged with assault. I guess they broke into somebody's dorm room with the intention of terrorizing and assaulting him. I don't know.
Well, what's up with state though? I mean, why can't they not be criminals?
Why can't they not be criminals? I could say the exact same thing about Carolina.
Carolina's just all white collar crime.
Okay. I didn't realize that we were differentiating between the two now. Well, I mean, NC State is viewed as more of a blue-collar school, so we got blue-collar crimes. What do you want? Like,
that was a low blow.
That was, but it is what it is. I've come to expect no less from you, Andre. No, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what that whole thing is even about, honestly. Like, it sounds ridiculous. That article didn't have a ton of information in it, so I
saw it on the news, and I'm like, come on, guys, you got to do better, man. Just make some fake classes, do some dummy grades.
Yeah, just the Carolina way.
Yeah, you said the Carolina way.
Yeah. Fake classes, dummy grades. Well, hey, we'll just make a whole department that will essentially be nothing more than a way to funnel football and basketball players through. Is that what you want us to do, Andre? Follow your team's example?
Hey, you would probably get better recruit.
I mean, yeah, we might actually win something. Trust me, we were just talking about this 2 weeks ago, I think, on here. Like, just the futility of being an NC State sports fan. It's hard.
You guys are tough.
Yeah, I mean,
I shouldn't laugh so hard, but
but you did, and I'm really curious to see. I'm not rooting against him, but Hubert Davis and the entire former basketball player staff that he's put together.
I'm not okay with that.
That seems
What's this?
Well, so Hubert Davis, right, is the new...
I think it's 3 or 4 right now. So he's a new head coach. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, he's the new head coach at UNC, but he basically said when he came in, my entire staff is going to be made up of former Carolina players. And so Sean May, who was a member of the coaching staff, got elevated to assistant coach, and they brought in a bunch of other guys. But it's like, I mean, I get that really does provide you with a large pool of players and, you know, good coaches potentially to draw from. But it does seem like kind of excluding the potential to recruit some really good coaching talent by singling it out to that group. But I don't know.
What do you think, Tony?
So you wish you would have got some NC State guys over there?
I mean, if we could have infiltrated from the inside and brought it down that way, yeah, I guess that would have been my preference. No, I just, you know, I mean, like outside of the ACC, I just think, I mean, like there were even guys on Roy's staff that left that I thought, you know, who weren't former basketball players, that I was kind of surprised to see leave. And so it seems like kind of an odd thing, but I do get that, like, that's his kind of, you know,
that's his comfort zone.
Right.
I know there's like 3 or 4 like committed names, and I kind of glanced over an article this, like, maybe the day before yesterday.
I hope it don't backfire on him, though. I know that.
I don't think it's
thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea.
Backfire.
I mean, and like how long does he get if it isn't
2 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I think he gets 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I was going to say like 3 years, but it's going to take a while to build it back up, though.
No, it's not. He's been the assistant coach.
You don't think so?
Like, think about it this way. So when Roy Williams like stepped out because of health issues, it was Hubert, right? So I think he gets 2 like solid seasons outside of COVID restrictions, and
okay.
They just have to. So whenever that happens, right? So if next year it's a normal season, that's 1. No, that'll be a pass. So maybe it's 3, right? 3 seasons.
I say 3, man. You could just take some time.
Okay, so like 2 to 3 seasons, that's what he gets, and they've got to go at least to the.
What, Matt Doherty got 5?
Yeah,
he got 5.
Sorry, I just had to bring that up.
Yeah,
you guys were ragging on all my NC State stuff, like the one bad thing that ever happened to Carolina basketball.
but.
I didn't know he got that long, though, to be honest. I forgot he was even there for a moment.
The only reason that Herb Sendek ever won a game against Carolina was because he was playing Matt Doherty coach teams.
That's... Hey, but look, Herb Sendek was a really good coach, though, for you guys. You guys ran him off.
Okay, you guys. Like, you guys. I get this all the time. I didn't run anybody off. I didn't have a problem with her. But the problem ultimately is that if you're gonna play a boring ass style of basketball, you gotta win games. Like, if you're not gonna win games and it's not gonna be fun to watch, then nobody's gonna. I mean, and he just all the cliches, day tight compartments and chopping wood, and it's just like. I think it just after 10 years, people were like, "You're not bad, but we would like to do better." And then it was like, "Oh, right. Sidney Lowe, shit." See, and that's what I'm hoping. See, that's what's really funny though, right?
This whole episode should just be about Tony and Chris crapping on NC State. Because I'm loving it. I can just sit back and drink a beer and laugh.
This is exactly what's going to happen, right? Like, State has this huge debacle where Herb Sendek leaves, and they go out and they hire Sidney Lowe, and it's just a dumpster fire, right? But you guys are going to like just go, oh yeah, Hubert Davis, here, you come, you be our head coach, and he's just going to go win like national titles and have no problems whatsoever.
No, I think he has. I think he has a lot of pressure on him, to be honest. Because you trying to go behind. You're going behind Roy Williams. You know, Roy Williams had a lot of pressure coming behind Dean Smith, so I think it's going to be the same for Herbert.
Okay, but fine, sure, pressure, got it. Yeah, I'm going to crap all over that theory.
Andre eats pressure for breakfast.
Yeah, it's like, so think about Roy Williams, Dean Smith, right? So you take like a Midwest coach and you bring him in, like he got like, all right, no, it doesn't matter. Hubert was the assistant coach. Hubert was probably going with him on recruitment meetings. He knows the program.
He was the top recruiter, wasn't he?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
So
is ultimately one of the most important things in college basketball. Like, if
Right,
you don't
people
have
aren't-
the players, then all of the coaching.
People
in the
aren't
world.
going to Carolina just because of Roy Williams. But they're going because they believe in the program, right? That's the
Right,
thing where it's
absolutely.
like, big picture wise, sure, that's the right guy. There was nobody else that fills that role. Like they could have scouted for a year and never found the right replacement outside of Hubert Davis. Period. Like that's just the end of the story.
Not Brad Stevens, not Mark
No.
Few, not like that was the thing.
You
I
don't
didn't
think those guys would
understand.
have did a good job?
I'm sorry.
Gottfried?
You guys don't think Brad Stevens or what's the other guy's name? But you don't think those other guys would have had a good chance though?
No,
Yeah.
dude. No. Like I'm not trying to rip things apart and then build them back up. That is stupid. That is the most
So you stick with Hubert Davis.
Yeah, I mean, he was the right-hand guy. Like if you think about it, he was the right-hand guy. Like who else better to carry that? Yeah, he'll get 2 or 3 seasons. I'm pretty sure within that time frame, Carolina's back in the Sweet 16. That's the benchmark. Like when you think about it.
Okay.
Roy Williams, it took him a while to kind of like.
Wait, didn't he win a national championship the first season back?
No,
but look,
the year
no.
after that?
What I was about
Okay.
to say, what I'm about to say is, it took him a while to get out of the Dean Smith shadow. Like everybody kept
Yes.
saying, Dean didn't do this. He wouldn't have done this. He
Yep.
was like, yo, this is my program now. This is my team, and let me run it the way I need to run it. So that I think Hubert
Right.
Davis has got the moxie enough to do that. So that's all I'm saying.
But is it going to
He
be
may
that
have the
different for
moxie,
him?
but can he?
Go
I
ahead.
don't think so.
No.
What?
I think he has to win a championship just to
No,
stay.
no, he doesn't.
To be honest,
I don't.
you don't think so?
No.
Man, we need a championship. He gotta get a championship.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like,
No.
Carolina fans
the kind of pressure
expect
he's on.
nothing less. Roy Williams won, 3 championships in the last 12 years? And they were still, fans were happy to see him retire.
Relevant.
Like, they were grumbling about
I was
Roy
happy to see him
Williams.
retire because of his style.
Please
See?
don't get it twisted.
See?
Please don't get it twisted. Please don't get it twisted. I like winning, but I'm also very pragmatic when it comes to when you think about a change like that. Like his health had been failing.
No,
COVID
I mean,
made it
I
worse.
understand the health aspect of it, but I'm just saying, okay, so if the fans, some fans at least, felt like the problem was not, was Roy Williams, and so is Hubert Davis going to be enough of a change from what Roy was doing? Like, do you think that he connects better with these kids? Because it seemed like that was part of the issue, was that Roy was having trouble with these guys that were coming in and then leaving, and guys that were going early to the NBA when he wasn't.
The problem was the freaking NBA. They need to stop. Man, I'm about to get heated. The NBA needs to stay in their lane. They can't have scouts at every freaking game. They're like.
But that starts at AAU. That's not even.
No, but it gets worse in college. These guys are talking these kids up.
Yeah.
They're taking, they're going early. They shouldn't go early.
That's why they getting them schools are getting, they losing them championships after they win too, right? Because you're getting all those.
So I'm saying,
all those violations.
If you want to call it for what it is, the NBA needs to stay in their lane. I think they need to stop with the NFL too. You should not be able to be recruited until you're at least a junior. And the only reason a junior is because no, hold on, hear me out. The only reason when you're a junior, hopefully they've gotten enough education, because at the end of the day, I can take my rookie year and I'm done. These kids have got nothing else. That's objectively a junior. Objectively, you shouldn't have no more 5th-year seniors playing all that crap. No, a junior, because by that time they should have at least a basis of something to fall back on. If I was to actually do some research in it, and probably my gut's telling me I'm right, all the people that leave early that get hurt their first 2 years and they're done, it probably outweighs the superstars that do that. Like Zion, everybody's everybody quote unquote loves him, right? He's not in good physical shape.
Not to be that young.
That's what I'm saying.
To be that young, he should be playing. He should be playing almost 40 minutes a game. That's what I think. But
And
that's
you
just
feel
how I
like
look.
that is primarily because he didn't stay in college longer?
His
I think-
weight.
I think he got abused in college. He got hyped up in college, and he went early, and he shouldn't have gone. I think he should have waited for himself, like for him, right?
I mean, he
If
wanted to, but literally every other person told him he was. Like Duke even was like,
But you got
nah,
to.
dude,
he,
you got to go.
He had to go.
Yeah.
He's at the highest he could be as far as
His
stock.
value literally
He messed around, get hurt in college.
could not get higher. I mean, but that's the whole thing, right? Is
Exactly.
like you're constantly weighing the potential of if I come back and play another free year of college and I blow out my ACL or tear my
I get hurt.
Achilles, like I'm done. I never make that money in the NBA. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with these kids that are leaving early who don't even get drafted. It's just that chance. And I don't know.
That's
I'm not a fan of the idea that the professional leagues say you can't come play here until you're X amount of years or X, I think there are kids who, Kevin Garnett was like ready to play in the NBA when he was 18, right? Like there are some people, it's
Kobe.
rare. Yeah. But there are some people.
I knew you were going to bring up Kobe. Look.
It's in that look.
What did he do in his rookie year, though? That dude was a
Hassan-
monster.
It's not, okay, forget me being a fan, right? What's the right thing for the person? If you exclude all the small percentage of people that can actually become those superstars, NFL, NBA, sometimes even the MLB, right? You rarely see it in hockey. Most of these guys, they go off and who was money that was married to or messed around with the Kardashian, the running back,
Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush.
What happened to his career?
Right.
He went early, like he was a high draft pick.
Well, he getting hurt. He got hurt. He got hurt a lot though.
Yeah.
But he got hurt. But prior to that, he went early because he was thinking about
went as
what
a
he was going to do.
junior, which was the earliest he could go.
I'm saying all I'm saying is like
He played his best years of football for free
in college
at Cal or USC.
Yeah.
USC.
They made all the money off of him.
And I know he got his house for his family and whatever, all the stuff that he ended up like losing the Heisman Trophy for. But ultimately, like USC made way more. Like Pete Carroll made way more bank off of Reggie Bush than Reggie Bush
that's
did.
why I'm also a fan of like paying these kids.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bigger conversation. It's
It
not
is.
like
I like that.
I don't want to be a fan and be like, well, nah, you got to wait. Nah, I think they should make money. Like I just heard something the other day that apparently the NCAA is going back to primarily Carolina players where they can make money off, like past students can make money off of the, like crap merchandise they're selling with their
So basically
likeness or
licensing.
yeah, so they can actually make money off the licensing. I think that there's a bigger conversation. I'm not saying like I have a solve. I'm saying like there's a lot of things and super complex, and because baseball is different from baseball recruitment is different from basketball.
It is.
recruitment.
I actually like the way that baseball does it. Like the fact that you can basically be drafted and then say, no, I'm going to come back and play. Like that you have that choice. It's not like if you enter your name or if you get selected, then you don't get the option to come back.
Right.
Right.
But
so there's a lot of complexity, and I get like, and I used to just think about it like I want that W, right?
Yeah.
But then I just started thinking like, well, the human factor. Like, there are so many broke NFL football players. There are so many broke NBA basketball players. And a lot of them, they get drafted freaking 20 years old. You give me $5 million at 20? I'm probably doing lines of coke like by 21, right? So, I mean,
but I think that says a lot about you personally, Andre. Like,
no, I'm not saying like that. You guys know what I mean, right? It's just like I'm going to burn through that money at some point, and that's all I'm saying.
Right.
Like, not saying I would do coke because that looks very complicated, but my point being is like there should be a responsibility, so it's an equitable deal, and I think a lot of times it's not an equitable deal.
yeah.
Well, what if this? I have an idea. Let's say this: you put up some type of guideline or standard or something that you had to have as far as if you wanted to leave that early, make sure you have a legitimate, responsible group of people around you that could guide you in the right direction as far as you spending your money. You know,
I don't even trust that.
to
But
have that.
look at Britney Spears.
Ooh.
It is. I mean, that's a hard one to judge as well. I think part of the solution is allowing college athletes to be able to at least make money off of their own likeness. It's not, I don't think that the schools necessarily have to be paying them, but there's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't be able to make money outside of playing football, or because they're playing football or whatever sport it may be. Like, if you're, a marching band member, it's not like you can't go out and have a solo, flutist album. Now you're probably not going to make a bunch of money doing that, but something like that. You're absolutely right.
Yo, pause. Yo, did you see the SNL clip with the they're talking about hip hop songs with the flute?
No, I did not.
You guys have gotta watch that.
Okay.
So you might be wrong when you're saying flutists can't make money because
I take that back then. I
have to check that out myself.
Yeah, that is the funniest joint. But you're not wrong. I'm just saying, I think that when it comes to how Americans consume sports, it's often unfair to the athlete.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me it feels very much like the old gladiators, where it's we don't really ultimately care. We just want a good show,
right.
It's, if you're hurt, we'll go out and play because I paid money to see you play, right? I paid money to see the stars when I came here, or I tuned in and expected to see LeBron play. I don't want him sitting on the bench because he needs a rest this game. I mean, I'm certainly not. I'm like, dude, I sometimes I need sick days too.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest. When Manning went to Denver, I was pissed. Yo, I'm like, yo, you're making $75 million. You can't remember 18 plays. $75 million. I own half of your brain. I should get you to be able to pass a ball. But at the same time, this is what probably really made me commit to changing my perspective on it. My youngest son, he was a junior, and he was playing lacrosse, right? And he was really good at it. He got a full scholarship to, I believe, Utah and a couple other places. And I'm like, yo, bub, why don't you go? He goes, Dad, I'm tired of getting hurt. And he just had his, ripped another ACL. I mean, and I'm like, I actually had to step back and, remember when he was playing football, when he went to high school, sure, he was returning kick returns. It was crazy to watch. I showed you a couple of videos, that's my son just running a kick return back for a touchdown. But in order to stay a running back, he'd have to put on 50 to 60 pounds. He's like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And then as he got older, he was like, I'm tired of getting hurt. And it just makes you realize, as a parent, I was like, okay, yes, as a fan, I want to get the W. As a parent or as the individual, I don't want to see my kid iced up all the time. That's just not okay. So
it messes with your psyche too, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can get so gung ho, you forget about you're playing a game and you're always pushing your body to what it can't do anymore. Especially if you're injured.
Right.
Think about all the guys that play with concussions, or they play with dislocated shoulders, or knees that have popped out of socket, or there's a lot of things where we don't think of, Kobe. I gained respect for him when I realized he had all those microsurgeries just to keep playing. I was never a Kobe fan until I heard that. I'm like, he did what? His offseason was, yeah. I was never a Kobe fan. Never. You never catch me be like, yo, Kobe's the man. No, never. Never that.
I was a big Kobe fan. Iverson was the same way, though, right?
Oh, yeah, but Iverson's my dog, Yo, I F with Iverson. I F with Rasheed Wallace. I don't, Kobe wasn't, I respected his game, but Kobe was like Jordan to me, right? For me, Jordan Jordan every year kept the Knicks from going to the playoffs. 9 times out of 10, if the Knicks weren't going to the playoffs, you know whose fault it was? Pippen and Jordan. Well, Jordan and Pippen. So
yeah, but when Kobe was playing, that was just the Knicks were keeping themselves from the playoffs.
Pacers got them too, didn't they?
All right, thank
What
you
about
guys.
that-
It's been a great episode.
No, we can't start
Like,
bagging
yo,
on the Knicks. That is
Yo, like you guys are cutting me the. I'm glad you guys don't watch a lot of baseball because I'm like, yo,
You know who
You know,
I have been watching some baseball lately because my boy Trey Turner from NC State.
man, everybody
is an NC State guy. That's right.
NC State and all right. So Tony, Chris, you know that's what is it? 7 separation from Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, 7 steps to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does with NC State. Like,
Except
those
there's usually
si-
just one. Like, oh, that guy plays at State. Oh, that guy used to play at State.
it's like some random like, you know the third string like kicker from like Green Bay.
Yeah, he used to
Green
play
Bay.
at State.
He played at State for like 6 days.
I know the entire NC State player history. If they're playing
That's
somewhere in the pros, I'm following them. Carlos Rodon threw a no-hitter. Almost had a perfect game, except he skipped that ball off the guy's toes.
So you watch baseball with like malice. You don't watch it to
Watch it with malice. What does that mean?
like you watch it just for like you play at State. Yeah, I'll watch it. Like
I root for my State guys. Like
yeah.
that's just how my fandom
Like
works.
if you start throwing out Minnesota Twins players, I'm like, nah, dude.
No,
Like,
those are literally like the only 2 NC State players that I know are Carlos Rodon and Trey Turner in baseball. I mean, it's like in basketball in the NBA. I basically got T.J. Warren and Dennis Smith Jr., who just keeps getting somehow shipped to worse and worse teams. Like,
I can't, yo. I can't. I can't. You can't even bring up Dennis Smith Jr. and without me laughing. It's like, yo, that dude.
I know we
No.
paid that kid like $50,000 to lose most of the games that season. I mean, it was like literally that one dunk at the end of the Duke game that didn't even count was the best part of his 1 year.
We paid him $50,000. No.
I mean, that's like State can't even cheat right. You know, I mean, like Mark Godfrey
That's what
shows
I'm
up and
saying.
he's like, "Here's $50,000. Come lose some basketball games for me," because he didn't bother recruiting anybody else. I swear he was like, "No, I'm just gonna pay this one player instead of paying a few of them."
Oh man, I can't.
Man.
I can't. All right. So
So
Wow.
TJ Warren did get paid?
Apparently not.
So like TJ Warren, his dad played at State, and so I mean, like he was probably getting some benefits, you know, because I think any of the really good players, the schools figure out a way, or the boosters do, you know, like, oh, here's a rental car you can drive around for a few weeks. So I'm sure. I mean, I remember Tracy Smith Jr. I think like there were always stories about him driving around some fancy car on Hillsborough Street. So I think like it definitely happens. I know State's got those easy classes too. You know, like CJ Leslie was in a bunch of that stuff. He had some poem that came out that everybody gave a hard time about. But it's I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I'm with you, Andre, in that I just wish that we were doing more. There was more being done to focus on the athletes and the people themselves, you know, and
Yeah.
more to help them, you know, whether it's ensuring that they have an opportunity to come back and finish a degree later at, you know, some discounted price or, you know, whatever it is, like figure
or even free.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
I mean-
because please tell me they're not making money off these kids. So, and I want to end it with this. So I've got a kid in my neighborhood. So when kids are graduating like high school, all the parents put their proud parent of X high school senior, right? There's a kid in my neighborhood, and he was I think he played tight end at my daughter's school. Like, I'm sure that school wrote him out as far as an athlete.
He probably did, yeah.
Like, he's not going to college right now, right? So school wasn't a priority, but they wrote him out. And it's just, you know, when I look at that now,
That's
it's yeah, right? I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm taking advantage of, and this is on the parents also. It's like, yo, like what's the most important thing? And it's, and the kids in my neighborhood, they go to school, like it's a new school. So I'm like leaving the neighborhood one day and it says proud patriot. I'm like, Patriots? And I'm like, like I will burn your house down. Like,
former NC State wide receiver Jacoby Myers plays for the New England Patriots.
Oh my goodness!
See, I'm telling you. So
I'm surprised you're not talking about Oh, go ahead. My fault.
No, it's all good. But I'm just saying, like for me, when I see the fact that this kid, like they wrote him out in high school. Probably didn't get into a college that he wanted to get into, but he was a superstar for a minute. And it's like, what do you got now? Right. And that's what I think athletes, now it's happening younger and younger. It's not happening when they're like out of college. It's happening in high school. Yeah. So these kids aren't even getting to college, but we applaud them just for Friday night, or we applaud them for Thursday night or Friday night basketball, or, whenever. But we don't think about what they're going to do next. We don't emphasize education. We don't emphasize like the fact that, when you're 25, your knees may not work. I mean, there's a lot of things that we just kind of leave on the sideline. So I just look at it a different way, and it breaks my heart. Like watching my son go through that, where he's like, a full ride to college, like every parent's happy about that. But how many parents like force their kid to go because it's a free ride?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're looking at the glamour the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot.
Even with COVID, I was watching parents, like I think they were at Michigan, and they're like, our kids trained their whole life for this. They should be able to play. I'm like, your kid could die.
But you could die.
like feed the golden goose. Don't kill the golden goose. Like, I mean, if that's your angle, okay. But don't strangle the goose at the same time. That's ridiculous. So
yeah, I think like it's tough because I do understand on the one hand that parents look at it as this may be my kid's opportunity, right? Like especially if they're a senior or a junior, and it's kind of like the only reason they may not get selected as high in the draft is because they're not getting the opportunity to play this year. So it's like I can understand where they're coming from, but yeah, and at the same time, it's like, is it worth it, right? Not knowing ultimately the long-term potential complications from this. And we're already starting to see like some athletes, who are suffering, like Jason Tatum's, right? He's got to use an inhaler before he goes out and plays. Cam Newton never looked the same after he came back from having COVID last year. And so
right.
stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying that it's 100% going to ruin somebody's career, but it's a potential, right? Just like going out and getting injured at doing anything else. And so I don't know. I'm glad I wasn't having to make that decision, I guess, because it's not an easy one to make.
My daughter, 2-time national champion in karate, right? When she was done, she was done. Like I kind of recognize, which it's kind of bad that I recognize it with my daughter, but not my son. If that makes it doesn't make me feel better, but I can look back and reflect and say, because she had an opportunity to go to the Junior Olympics, but she was done. And I kind of wanted to push her, but I also realized that she said, "No, Dad, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore." And she would ice up, So for me, like sports is a big thing in my family. Like it's like we're competitive. You saw watching Madden, right? Can't lose in my house without people talking crap to you. It's just like, and I got to get that W, yo. I don't care. I will punch a kid in the face. I'm like, nah.
Even your own
controller. Daddy, why is Uncle Andre like body slamming me? He's got to win, dude. You got to toughen up.
Yeah. Hey, I might have said that to him,
though. I mean, but like when my daughter, I recognized it with my daughter. I didn't recognize it with my son because I kind of said, "Dude, you should play. Like go play tight end." He's like, "I got to put on 30 pounds. Running back 50, 60, tight end. 30, 40 pounds." He's like, no, I'm good. He's like, I'm good. I'm ripping my ACL like every 3 months, I remember playing like soccer as a kid. Like my right knee is only messed up because I got kicked in my knee, and it was the only game my dad went to. And I was playing goal. I was a keeper, so like I didn't do a lot of running. But I remember getting kicked, hitting the pitch, looking up, and I kid you not, I see my old man. And I didn't cry. I just sucked it up. But there was a bone that was chipped in my kneecap. I just like, I'm a man, I'm going to do what I do.
Yeah.
I was like 12. Like, why is that an option? Like a 12-year-old should be like, oh, my knee hurts, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, so those are things where like when I fast forward to like, in my 40s and 30s, like those things aren't okay. Like you got to, as a parent, your job should be to protect and support your kid, not to, and I'm not trying to like, I don't know everybody's situation, so I'm not going to try to assume. But I'm just like, but real talk, your kid's not your paycheck.
Yeah.
They didn't ask.
You got that right, but it's hard though. It's hard though because sometimes the parent feels, they find themselves living through their kids too. That's the balance you gotta have. It's okay to want those things for them, but you don't want to live like straight. Just, you know what? Yeah, that should have been me. I'm gonna make sure he gets, gets there. If the kid doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. You can't make him because then he's really gonna hate it. So,
yeah,
like
I mean,
with Corinne, I wanted Corinne to, really play basketball because she has this height. You can't teach height. That's the saying, right? You can't teach height. But
yeah, that's true. Like
she has this natural height.
Yeah. Why aren't you
tall,
dunking, girl?
and right, But if she doesn't want to do it, I'm not gonna force it on her. That's just what it was. I'm not gonna force it on her.
And I respect that because I would be mad at you. Like when your kid says they're done, they're done. I mean, I'd rather like go be. Like I have a cousin and she played ball at Barton College, right? And I used to always give her crap. I'm like, there wasn't a professional league for women. I was like, there's no professional league. Why are you playing ball so much? Yeah. Funny joke on me.
Yeah.
Yo, she used to ball me out, yo. And I would actually have to like get physical, like push up on her, be like, nah, yo, you got to stop hitting that mid range on me like that. I mean, she would get me with that fadeaway all the time. I'm like, yo, I'm about to like jump and like push her back a little bit so I could like not lose in a game of 21. But competition's good, but it's got to be healthy, right? I think there's other things in life that you can push yourself to be good at. And I think as a parent, like that's got to be hard. And I respect what you're saying. You can't live through your kid, right? That's
right.
That's
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough not to, because you always want them to be better than you. So that's where you get. It's kind of like almost like a trap, but you got to find that balance. You got to find that balance.
I struggle.
That's how I look at it.
I struggle with that statement of you want your kids. My wife says it a lot. That she wants our kids to be better than us, and I don't necessarily. I don't know if I don't understand the phrase, so I don't subscribe to it. If that makes sense. I'm not trying to. I don't discount people that say that, but I look at it as my parents. Yes, sure. There are some things I'm doing better than my parents, but as a parent myself, I want my kids to enjoy the most out of life, not necessarily make it a. And this is my perspective. When I hear that phrase, it's not a competition for me, right? I want them to be. No, I'm not. I am not saying that for you to. It's not. It's not like for me. I always look at it not in the form of rebuttal, right? So when I'll even tell my wife, I'm like, I don't necessarily understand that phrase, so I don't subscribe to it, and this is why. I want my kids to enjoy the most out of life, not to necessarily do better than me. Because on the inverse, your kids want to have the same things you have. When they haven't gotten to or done what you've done, right? So if you when I think about that holistically, I look at the millennials like, oh, I'm 25. Why don't I have a house? Or I'm 26. Why haven't I been promoted to manager? Well, because you're 26. This is your first job. Shut up. You're 25. You're broke. Shut up. Go get an apartment like a normal person. Like, so that's how I look at it. It's like I don't necessarily. I don't look at it where I want my kids' life to be better than mine. I want them to have access to opportunities. I want them to be able to make those decisions freely as opposed to feeling forced to do that. And it's just it's my perspective. It's how I handle, I have a son that works at a really cool company that had a really cool national or global event today, and something he did at work was recognized. And he worked on it. He hit me up on a text and he goes, yeah, you got to watch this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it. And I'm like, texting back and forth. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Like, he had a goal. He went out and did it. And I'm like, as a parent, I'm proud of that. Right. Yeah. And that's where it's like, he's not better than me. He's my son. Right. I want him to accomplish those things. I want him to set goals and work hard for them, because I've had to set goals and work hard for goals. Doesn't make him better than me. Right. I want him to, I tell my kids all the time, like, dude, one thing, and Mom, if you're listening, don't take this out of context. One thing I'm envious of my kids for is that they can live a life without being concerned about support. And it makes you kind of fearless, because when my kids call me and say, hey, Dad, what should I do about this? Or, what do how do you see this? I can talk to them like, yeah, it's a good idea. And, I would approach it this way. And it's because, and I say, look, dude, if anything, you can go and try it and not do well. And if things go to shit, you can come live with me or your mom or whatever you want to do. That's an option. That's something I didn't have as growing up. Like, I live in a scarcity mentality in a healthy way, but I'm grateful that my kids don't have to do that. So, and that's not a knock on my mom. It's just a matter of I always believe every parent should understand this, and every child one day will understand this about their parents. They did the best they could do with what they knew. That's it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I want my kids to be like, my dad, my old man, he did the best he could do with what he knew. And I look at my parents through that lens, and I hope that my kids look at me through that lens. But it's never about being better, right? It's not a competition. Like, one of my other nephews, I always, like, family for me is important. Like if you're my family, I will do whatever I can to help you with whatever. I just feel like that's an obligation, because I'm not going to always be batting 1,000, and I want my family to do the same thing for me. I want them to keep me off the ledge. I'll keep you off the ledge. You keep me off the ledge. And we'll both live that way. So, and I always talk to Chris, and I'm going to stop talking about this, but it's important. Like, two things. One, words are important. How we express that and how we give the full logical conclusion to what we say and believe is important. So when you say competing with, or you want your kid's life to be better than yours, I look at it as a competition. So for me, I think that's important to be no, let's clarify that, right? So it's not a judgment or something where it requires rebuttal. It's just how I think in a better light, it's more, this is what it translates to me. And secondly, I think that it's important that, I'm not a good person for me if I don't do this for my friends and family. So people I rock with you 100%, right? And I think both of you could say, if you ever called me, I'd probably I got time. Or
yeah, I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm. It's never going to be no, I'm busy. I can't talk. Or if you needed something from me, I'd be no, let me help you out. Let me see what I can do. And I think for me, it helps me to stay grounded in the fact I do that because I know there's going to be times in my life where I suck. I totally just right now suck, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I want to make sure that I'm available for people like I would need them to be available for me. And that's how I look at family, right? Like my circle is very small. My family is very big. The people I consider family is very big. The people I talk to, and I'm like, yeah, let me tell you, on Monday, I was really struggling. Like on TV, I'm super confident, but I fell apart on Monday.
Right.
So, and I think that's important. I think it's especially important for guys, like, because we front all the time. Guys are just like, we could be professional liars, but we aren't. But I just wanted, like, anyway, I just felt like that's how I feel about that. It's like, dude, no, as a parent, you just want your kid to be able to, like, go out and be their best and be fearless, knowing, like, the things that we were scared to do or not confident to do, we got their back. It makes them, feel confident and bold. Yeah. That was a lot.
It was great though. I like that. I like that aspect because, like I said, it makes me look at it differently now as far as saying that, because maybe that's what I meant in my mind, but saying it that way, I guess it comes out a different way. That's like you said, words are very important. How you say things and what you say or how you say it is very impactful. So just saying it that way makes me look at it at, like you said, a different lens. Just understanding what I'm saying, because what I'm saying to him, my son or my daughter, they may think of it as like, what are you talking about? And I'm thinking what you're saying, but it's not coming out that way. So
right.
So I guess, like, for me, I've always kind of looked at it as not a competition in terms of, like, this is what I did, you should do more. But I think more in line with what, kind of, I think where you were going, Andre, is like opportunities, right? Like, I would like to make sure that my kids have the same opportunities that I had, if not more or better opportunities, right? Like, I want to make sure that they feel supported to be able to do the things they need to achieve those opportunities and to take advantage of them. Right. And so, I think, like, because it does. I think it all comes from a very, like, loving, nurturing place, but there is an, like, I see exactly what you're saying in terms of, like, that the term saying, like, I want my kids to do better. But
Yeah, like, was your life that crappy?
I tease my dad about that all the time because he says stuff like that. He's like, like, was it that bad? Like, I didn't realize that things were that bad. I'm sorry.
That sucks, Joe. Like, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Like, that's living in the Flintstones world. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I know we're running kind of long. Tony, I'm glad that you joined us.
Glad you guys invited me.
Oh, definitely, dude. Don't ever worry about that. You might be a regular because you made me laugh. Like, I gotta have somebody else, like, pick on Chris about his NC State obsession. So the Derrick Chauvin trial is over today. Yeah, and he got found guilty in all 3 accounts. I want to share it with you guys because this is how I've been feeling about it. Like, I try to avoid the trial. I try not to watch it. And then I started watching it, I was like, I just can't. I got to. I just have to see if there's something that is... I don't know how I feel about it. Chris and I were talking last week, and we've talked often about how a lot of the things that happen in these major national global situations, that could have been me. Like, there's probably not one situation I've heard where somebody lost their life and it couldn't have been me, and that bothers me. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. Mm-hmm. My feeling on the conviction is, like, great, he's guilty. Like, nobody could ever say the dude wasn't guilty. And I believe the prosecution, and I watched the case, like, they did their job. They did what they were supposed to do. So if the jury would have been like, nah, he's not guilty on count 2, I'd be like, you guys weren't listening. like we need to run that back. Let's run that back. And I guess the anxiety I'm feeling is that, and you guys tell me your thoughts. I don't think anything's going to change. Like at the end of the day, I'm glad he got convicted, and because that means there's not going to be riots. Seriously, like that is my relief. I do not believe in my heart of hearts that we as a society are ready to do the work. And it's not just about black people. It's about people that are not white. And because I'm tired of that argument too. I can't stress that enough. I don't think anything's going to change. And I think the reason it won't change is because we're not addressing the root cause of the issue. We only address the symptoms.
So I have something to say about that. Just listen to what you said. I couldn't watch the trial at all, personally. I didn't even want to, like, it would come up on my phone, they would say things, I would kind of, like, brush right through it. I didn't want to know because they were saying that the verdict could probably take up to the end of the month. I'm like, dang, that's a long time. So I don't want to know what's going on, honestly. Right. And then they get, like, I'm on the way home, pulling up to the house. They're saying that he's guilty in all 3 verdicts. So I'm thinking, me and Brittany were like, oh, we're glad that he got the all guilty, all 3 charges all guilty and all. But I can't say that I don't think that anything is not gonna happen, not gonna change, because you have to, in order for things to change, there has to be something tragic that happens, right? Like something has to change we have to go through something. So maybe, and it's sad to say, maybe George Floyd being that quote unquote sacrificial lamb for things to change, just look at it that way, because now they're gonna try to pass a bill, the George Floyd bill coming, that's another thing that's possibly supposed to happen. So now if they pass that bill, maybe we can open up these talks and actually talk about not just, people of color getting killed. It's about actually seeing people of color as humans. It's about a humanity thing. So we have to look at it that way and have some type of hope, because something has to change. I don't think that nothing won't change. I honestly feel like there is a chance. There is a chance, because can't keep doing all this wrong and nothing happened to nobody. You know what I'm saying? That's like, that's crazy. That's just how I feel personally.
I have a contradiction. So like, the logical part of me understands that precedent in law makes the next time like more likely to have a positive result, right? Mm-hmm. Where I'm concerned is like the objective part of me and kind of subjective is that what messed me up was the lieutenant governor of Minnesota saying that it's not safe to be in Minnesota and be black. Like that, I think that probably took away. Okay, legally, yes, precedent, you're screwed, right? You're going to always run into that precedent, right? But what made me kind of pause, and I was looking for a tweet to comment on it, but I'm glad I didn't find it, because now I've had some time to process it. It makes me more aware of the fact that there are people that have influence over all of our daily lives that recognize the problem, but they do nothing about it. And that was like when we first talked about George Floyd, like I was probably a little bit more optimistic. I understood the pain that we'd have to go through to get to this point. But what threw me off was the fact that the lieutenant governor of Minnesota made that comment. Like, I can't imagine. And I've been like in the back of my mind, we've had a great conversation about sports and everything like that. I've been trying to figure out like how I feel about this. Like, there's the logical side that says yes, but it's precedent. Like legally in court, I can, whether it's like all 50 state Supreme Courts are going to look to this trial as precedent. Done. if you look at the facts of the case and the unfortunate parts, such as the video, all these other things, those are substantial, and they're also, they may not happen again, right? It's like, that was very explicit. Mm-hmm. The entire world watched this guy kill this person on phone, or their TV or wherever, every day for like 3 weeks. We all watched somebody die for 3 weeks straight. And I was I think I was okay. I was probably where you are, Tony, and I was probably thinking what Chris may have been thinking about this. But the thing that made me pause and it messed me up, I tripped, right? On my journey to feeling that I would have been okay with the verdict until I started really pondering what she said. And that's what I don't understand. I can't reconcile she's if you think about being 50,000 feet in the air, she's watching this whole state run, and then she actually says out of her mouth, it's not safe to be in this state if you're black. That's what I in my mind, I just can't reconcile. So if that's Minnesota, what about North Carolina? Right? There have been 60 mass shootings. Think about it this way. And this is her statement opened up and then I'm going to let you guys hopefully keep me on course here. Her statement opened up the fact that there have been close to 60 mass shootings since March 15th of this year. That's why it's not just a black problem. If we add in the assaults on Asian Americans, our niece, right, could potentially be part of that. We watch the whole house burn and we don't do anything about it. She's 50,000 feet up in the air saying, oh, by the way, however many square miles Minnesota isn't safe if you don't look like me. By the way, since March 15th, almost 60 people just going to work, going to the grocery store, we'll let them die. That's what concerns me. That's where my brain goes. I'm super skeptical about how we are we really motivated to fix the immediate problems that we're going through? And that's, I'll give it to you guys. Because I'm getting kind of emotional, and I'm not going to get emotional. And it's just, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I hadn't heard or seen that statement, but that seems like a really unintelligent thing to say. I mean, what is the solution? If you're a black person in Minnesota, you have to leave. Is that what you're telling people, right? I mean,
jokingly, I said last week you shouldn't live in Minnesota,
right? But
and she agrees with me.
But we said the same thing last week, where it's I mean, really, are the rest of the states that much better? Ultimately, I mean, it's not just Minnesota where this has been an issue. This is across the entire country,
right.
And I think, in terms of, I guess, moving forward after this verdict, I'm with you in that I don't think that this specific verdict will really change much going forward. I don't even know if from a precedent standpoint, because each individual case is so unique in terms of the circumstances. I think maybe the most unique thing that we saw in this trial was the number of people that kind of crossed that blue wall, the blue wall of silence that we often hear about, and were actually testifying, that what happened was wrong, that what they saw was wrong, And so maybe that is the start of more people feeling comfortable, standing up for what's right, or more specifically standing up against what's wrong, regardless of the potential fallout for them personally, which I think would be a step in the right direction. But punishing the individual officers who commit these atrocious acts is a treatment of the symptom and not addressing what the root problem is. The root problem is that the system is doing exactly what it was set up to do. You know?
Exactly.
And until we change that, this will just continue to happen. And, slapping the Band-Aid that is, a murder conviction, honestly, on the death of somebody else, it doesn't bring George Floyd back. Like, it doesn't stop another officer from going out and doing the exact same thing. It maybe puts a momentary pause in their head to say, well, what if I end up like Derrick Chauvin? But beyond that, what lasting impact will this really have until, like you said, the people who have the ability to change something about this actually do something?
Yeah.
Sorry if that didn't help walk you off the ledge.
So my thing is, since I've listened to both responses from Andre and Chris, and now I want to respond to what Chris says as far as do you feel like you kind of agree with Dre, right, Andre?
Yeah,
You can call me Dre, man.
I know who you mean. Yeah, I don't think that anything necessarily, just because the trial and the conviction, I don't know that necessarily means that we're on the precipice of some, overhaul of the system, or like this is the beginning of the cure for this. I think it's more, yes, this feels somewhat cathartic, right, for people who wanted some level of justice and to feel like police officers are not allowed to just go out and wantonly kill people without some sort of consequence. Like, in that regard, it does feel good, but even in the last 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, we've seen how many people die at the hands of police officers, and I know the conviction hadn't come through, but it just seems to me that until more is done to address stuff at where this is actually starting, which is, what the police are basically designed to do, how that whole system is built, that any number of convictions on the back end of it is really more just paying lip service as opposed to trying to stop these things from happening to begin
Fix
with.
it.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about defunding the police?
I think that's the dumbest term ever.
Yeah.
I think
Defunding the police
is the dumbest term ever.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it on this show before, that personally I think a part of the issue, and not specifically this case, but in other instances where we have unnecessary violence, is because we have police responding to things that police shouldn't be responding to. We've put a lot of things on police to handle because we don't really feel like having somebody else do it. So I don't think it's a matter of defunding the police. I think it's providing the right resources to respond to the right emergencies and not exclusively relying on police for that. But then, in this specific case, I just think there's also something has to be done to understand that taking another person's life as a police officer should always be the absolute last. I have done everything that I can to try and de-escalate this situation, and far too often it seems like it's more your second or third reaction is, I'm going to pull out my gun and start shooting. And
so my response to that, what you just said, that last part, these guys or women, they're on the force. Your first response is to kill, which shouldn't be, right? They have an obligation to serve and protect. So once your obligation to serve and protect, why can't they be taught how to, I don't know, you going into this thing as far as, you're going to be dealing with somebody that doesn't want to be arrested. They don't want to, go to jail, this, that, and the other. So why can't we try to, like you said, you were talking to Dre, talk them off the ledge or whatever. That's another way of talking them off the ledge. You don't want to kill the person, because once you kill that person, you can't bring them back.
Yeah.
You know, there's
So-
no coming back. They deal with this every day.
I think policing. That's why I think defunding the police is the dumbest phrase I've ever heard. It's dealing with the symptom.
Right.
It has nothing to do with, like, if you think about the common cold. This is a better analogy than my Interstate 40 analogy. If you get a cold, 7 to 10 days, like, you got to ride it out, right? We don't have a cure for the cold. It's just you're stuck with that, right? It's like anything else. Like, deal with the. You can't. Policing is a symptom of a problem. Period. It's not a solution to a problem. It has nothing to do with solving the problem. Why do people steal? They don't have money. Why don't they have money? You keep digging, right? Why do people commit crimes? Typically because they're broke. They're like there's a smaller percentage of people that are just motivated and wired to do those acts.
Sociopaths.
Yeah. So that's where I look at when somebody says defund the police, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? If somebody breaks into my house, like, I personally don't want to kill anybody. I hope there's somebody that, like, can remove that liability away from me. Hopefully they're called police officers. So I that's how I look at it. And I think that we might have to bring you back on because this is a very interesting topic, right? I think the issue, because I would actually say that you're prone to looking at the symptom. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that as but step outside of the problem, right? The problem is not the crime the person committed. That person may very well be a criminal for whatever reason. But if you want to prevent the next 20 crimes, why did that person do that? Yeah. Like, that's an okay question. That's a leadership question, right? If I look at District 13 of Raleigh, and I'm just making up a district. I don't know what the police districts are there. And I'm noticing there's a high number of, like, break-ins. And I start to do the math. And this is not like an intellectual pursuit. It becomes very apparent to me in this imaginary district that there is economic depression in that district. What do I do long term? I may not solve or fix it for the people that have been caught up in that, but what do I do to prevent it from happening the next 5 to 10 years from now? Those are different leadership questions that people don't ask, right? So my frustration with defund the police, sure. I don't subscribe. I'm not on board with that. But I am about, like, figuring out, why is that happening? Very simple question. Why was Derrick Chauvin, he was hired? Sure, we'll let that pass. Why was he allowed to stay on the force with the file that he had?
Yeah.
Right.
But the inverse of that is the officer that shot Dante Wright because she grabbed the wrong, well, not to indict her, but she grabbed the wrong weapon. And even then, it was kind of questionable of, like, my dude, a taser, a 9mm, that was her service weapon, by the way. I mean, a 9mm weighs a lot more than a taser.
A whole lot. So, that's incompetent.
My point, right? I mean, so I'm saying...
Plastic, metal.
So those are my points, and maybe Tony will have you come back, and I know
I would love to. This
was
great.
Yeah,
I love to come back.
Yeah, we'll definitely make that happen. We don't want to, like, keep you on here long, and I know Chris has got to eat.
Yeah, I know somebody eats before he comes on and leaves me to starve.
I didn't leave you to starve. Tony, we really appreciate you, like, hanging out with us tonight. It's been awesome, and it's good to have. This is not like two black guys ganging up on a white guy, because that wasn't even.
No, if anything, I think it was me and Tony ganging up on you.
And hopefully you guys saw how I maneuvered to my comfort zone. I'm like, all right, let's talk sports. Carolina versus State. All right, good.
Where can I go that he literally cannot do anything? Oh yeah, that's good.
Let me weasel out of this. When we did the whole Seahawks versus Denver. I was up
You're
on
feeling
an
the
island by
pressure
myself.
there.
Yeah, so yeah, but we'll definitely be glad to have you back. We love to, again, these conversations are, we're all parents. We're all, in relationships. We're not pushing Chris to get married, but
Get off your ass and get married.
yeah. Hurry up and do something, dude. Talk about food. We talk about food. We talk about a lot of things. These are the things that, if I'm being honest, and not to get sappy, but these are the things that like reasonable people are thinking about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. We all probably, we ponder these things, and
I appreciate being included in the group of reasonable people.
I mean, I only had 2 fringe groups left. It's like, I didn't know if I was going to put you which really extreme group to put you in, but we're super glad you guys joined us. If you like this episode, please subscribe to us. You can catch us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, TuneIn. And for the adventurous, you can go to our website at chrisandandreshow.com and grab our RSS feed. The video version is available on YouTube. Hopefully, we're going to continue to improve our quality as I work through some technical difficulties on my end. But don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, and do all the cool things. If you're really generous, you can share the episode. We would really appreciate it. If you're looking for more content, you can go to our website at chrisandandreshow.com. Follow us on Facebook at Chris and Andre, right?
Yeah. The Chris and Andre Show.
And Twitter. Oh, Chris and Andre Show? Okay, he had to correct me in public.
I got to do it at least once an episode.
Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Chris and Andre. You can always email us at thechrisandandreshow@gmail.com. That will be changing. I know I've said this a lot, but it will be changing pretty soon. And Tony, thank you for hanging out with
Seriously.
us. It's been really awesome.
No problem, man. No problem. It was great. And I enjoyed it.
So we will definitely have you back, and we're probably going to pick up some of these discussions. I'm sure in the next week or so we'll be hearing more about the sentencing of Derrick Chauvin. Hopefully, again, oh man, I don't want to talk about this right now, but I'm going to say this. Gosh, trying to wrap it up. I'm all right. One little snippet. The hard part is always doing the hard part. So there have been a couple people, my wife included, that said, why are we debating this? Why is there a trial? I get it. Like 100% I get it. But the problem is if you start to deviate from whatever agreed upon rules and or laws, it messes it up for everybody else. And as a human being, like I don't wish ill will on anybody. This guy's a murderer, straight up. Don't wish ill will on him though. But if we collectively decided as a group that these are the laws that and rules we're going to follow to expedite and to hand out and to deal justice to people, we all have to abide by those rules. So it's hard. We went through 4 years of the orange guy, the Cheeto king. It was hard. He talked all the time. He used some types of words, but we made it through it. So
barely.
All I would say is, it's hard to live a just life and deviate out of convenience. I struggle with that. Like I try to do the right thing as much as possible. But you better believe it's tempting to do things that are a lot more expedient for me. So with that, I'm going to close it out here. As always, I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Tony.
All right.
All right, Tony.